Namaste, dear friends. I'm welcoming you to this new video, which will be most probably in 3 to 4 parts about Salagrama Sila worship or history on Salagrams, my personal experience with Salagrams, and the lakshanas, which are very important to identify Salagrams. And I want to present this in here for the start of the project of teaching rituals and pujas for everybody, and giving a further understanding what Tiru Aradhana or what pujas in general mean. Because Salagram worship is very, very ancient. It's a holy stone which is found in the area of Nepal in the higher Upper Mustang region in the Gandaki River. Gandaki River is a sacred river. Salagrams, which are fossil animals, you could say, fossil shells, being coming up from that particular spring, which is considered to be the source of the Kali Gandaki on the high altitude of almost 5,000 meters over sea level. And those places, it's called Damodar Kund. So we will have like 3-4 videos on each on some important subjects. So rituals in general, puja rituals in general, are required an object. So that object to meditate upon, it's connected with the mantra shastra, and it is connected with the agamas. So the agamas are in general a collection of books which followed certain traditions. There are 5 traditions, you could say, which are still followed today in Asia as one of the main focus connecting oneself with God. So they are considered to be very ancient, and the worship of Vishnu, which is in connection with Salagrama Sila, is here the main subject. And there are other 4 traditions which I will scratch a little bit so that we get also some general understanding. But puja is a main part of spiritual activities which reconnects the soul with the divine, where it includes meditation, it includes mantra japa, and it includes internal and external purification rites. So those are all very important. And Salagram worship is the main one, you could say, because it is said that Salagram are considered to be Swayambhu, means self-manifested. There are no, let's say, human-made forms or human invention to make a form out of some material to say this is God. But these are a natural source of a form of God. So therefore, those Salagrams are very, very sacred. And even today, in every household of a Vaishnava or a Brahmin in general in India, and not just in India, also in Asia, are having those Salagram. And then depends also on numbers, how many Salagrams. So those sacred stones are worshipped for very, very long time. And in some household you find those Salagrams are there. They are so old. Generations after generations after generation has passed those Salagrams to the nowadays household. Yeah, so I will tell a little bit on how I came in contact with the worship of Salagram. That's like more than 30 years ago. I have got in contact with the Hare Krishna devotees who had published in those times some magazines, all in German print, and that name was Wie es ist. And that Wie es ist, there was some older issues all the numbers, which I also finally got in hand, and then there was this description of pilgrimage to Muktinatha inside, and how they went by foot and walking and for many days, and pictures. And I have got that magazine here, and it was looking like that, and already I got very much impressed with that story, and I was going through that magazine, and it really impressed me how those devotees in that time had been gone on foot to see that. One of the main protagonists was Asarata Prabhu, who was in that time even doing the worship of Radha Madan Mohan and Narasimha, and he takes bath in the Gandaki with the horses and what kind of shaligrams they find, and then even this motif of Muktinatha, very much interesting. So I got very much interested in to that magazine, and I got fired up, and finally I decided I will also go to Muktinatha by foot, and so now passed over 30 years, and I've been there 5 times. Unfortunately, last time only 2007, much more before the earthquake has taken place there and destroyed a lot of temples in Kathmandu, and destroyed the old city of Kathmandu. So I don't know how Nepal looks right now, but that was my first experience in connection with Shaligram, getting that magazine, and finally deciding also getting the Shaligrams, and then finally do it on your own. Go on your own and to Gandaki, make that walk. We walked around 7 days, I think, when that time for the first trip, and I went with some friends, and we had found some Shaligrams finally. We even sneaked to guards who were guarding, because there the Haya Mustang area started, and the protection camps of army was there for not letting anybody pass. And so this was right in Kakbini. There was police standing. So we early morning we woke up and we sneaked behind inside the riverbed and went further to Chutsang, which later on we did on our trip to Damodar Kund in 2007. So we had our whole path going to Upper Mustang and finally reaching Damodar Kund. But it was it was much more longer journey, of course. It was around 19 or 21 days in fully going to Damodar Kund and coming back. But the first trip was very short, and we had only gone to Muktinatha, which is like 7 days walking, and also coming back to Johnson. Anyhow, that will be also described much later in the other videos on history on Muktinatha Ksetra, but I'll just give you a little bit introduction to how I got in connection with Shaligram. One of my first Shaligram was the Varaha Shila. So Varaha I like very much. A part of Narasimha. So yeah, so Shaligrams in that was a very big impact on myself. So I got through Shaligram, the knowledge on Shaligrams and the history on Shaligrams. I got very much attached to the concept of rituals and pujas, meditation, mantra recitation. That all was invoking in myself the search for more. And of course in connection with Narasimha, because Narasimha is my Ishtadeva, so I was very much pushed forward in that practice. And spiritual life made really a boost in myself with the picking up of Shaligrams and worshipping in them. Of course, Shaligrams, to worship them, one needs to get initiated into the mantra tradition of a certain parampara, a certain disciplic succession, where the teacher will teach you how to perform Shaligram worship. So it's not just easy, just pick up and do the worship. There is, if you really want to go deeper into these details and also about your internal relationship, one needs to get initiation into a certain sampradaya. And the ritual itself is just a reflection of the siddhanta of that sampradaya. It is more like you get the basic knowledge of understanding God, and then you get introduced into the mantra, which is involving into the rituals also. So the ritual is more like a communication with that devata. That is a very important point here also. And so that it's all about the basic understanding, knowledge, and the wisdom which comes through the sampradaya, which will be handed down by the teachers to yourself, and then you will pick up the worship. That really invokes the auspiciousness in the ritual. Of course, it's even mentioned that you have a Shaligram at home and you just keep him like that. There's some benefits, but in the same time, with benefits sometimes come also impediments. So this is not good to keep a Shaligram unworshipped at home, in the sense of if you want to make progress in spiritual life. So therefore, we always get this advice from our teacher that once you have a Shaligram, you should worship him. And then what? In accordance with the sampradaya, in accordance with the shastra, and in accordance with the teacher who teaches you this. Then, like that.